Protests are underway across the United States a week after a Florida court acquitted George Zimmerman, who was shot dead, an unarmed black teenager. Organisers expect more than 100 cities to take part in the rallies now. RT's Gunnar Chichikan was among the crowds in Washington.
You see hundreds of people here at a D.C. courthouse demanding justice for Trayvon Martin, the young black man who was shot dead by a neighborhood watch volunteer. Last week, the jury in Florida found George Zimmerman not guilty of murder and manslaughter. All these people think had Trayvon Martin been white, he would have been alive. Even President Obama thinks so. To civil rights activists here, it's obvious that George Zimmerman followed Trayvon Martin that night because he was black. The 17-year-old Trayvon Martin was walking home in his own neighborhood with a pack of Skittles, candies in his pocket. The jury apparently found that although it was a bad judgment on the part of George Zimmerman to pursue the young man, but when the two confronted each other, Zimmerman acted in self-defense. The fact of the matter is that under Florida's stand your ground law, the defense doesn't even have to prove that their client is an angel. It's enough to prove reasonable doubt that the defendant acted in self-defense, and they're free to go. So in this case, you have a clash of different issues: race, civil rights, vigilantes, guns, and self-defense laws. The U.S. has a history of racial disparities in the application of criminal laws. A very recent example, also in the state of Florida, a black woman, a mother of three, was sentenced to 20 years in jail because she fired a bullet at a wall to scare off her abusive husband. Nobody was injured, and the woman is in jail for 20 years, while George Zimmerman walked free. So you see the basis of these people's outrage. There have been protests around the country throughout the week following the Zimmerman verdict. Dozens of people were arrested. Most of the arrests were made on charges of unlawful assembly. In some places, like in San Bernardino, protests turned violent. Demonstrators threw rocks at passing cars. The president, America's first black president, spoke from the heart on Friday when he recalled some of the instances when he had been looked upon with suspicion for no apparent reason because he's black. But the president also tried to put out the fire of protests throughout the country by basically saying, as much as you don't like the verdict, don't blame the jury and the judge. Blame the existing laws. In Washington, I'm Ganesh Chekyan.